All right, so I found an old article in Psychology Today from a journalist. He was a gentleman pushing 70 who said the following. He said, bottom line, men over 65 bid farewell to erections and penis and vagina intercourse and opt for other pleasures, mutual genital hand massage, oral sex, and toys, right? So I figured this was a topic that I had to get into. Now, I've been treating men with erectile function issues for over almost 20 years now, and I completely disagree with this statement. So let's get into what's real and true versus what's myth. And within this review, I'm going to share with you this one very underutilized hack that a man can use to fix one of these very important sexual truths for sex after 60. So let's get into it. Myth or fact? Men in their 60s automatically have a hard time getting an erection. This is false. Not if they've been following me, but that's a side note. This is actually a myth. There's a small amount of truth in every myth, so I will say that, because as time goes on, there is a decrease in the hormone testosterone, which actually seems to impact the sensitivity of the penile skin. As a result, there is a decrease in the sensitivity of the erection. And what this means that as aging men need more time and more direct stimulation, sometimes more friction on the penis to achieve full erection. Sometimes an assumed failure is really just because you just didn't give it enough time to work. Now, this is where you have to revert to kind of the days of youth and bring back the hand job. Not just the ho-hum, grab it in the car and look out the window kind, but this is the kind that's full of expression, a little bit of sexy drama, including but not limited to like talking, making eye contact, sexy noises, the whole nine. But the worst thing that you can actually do with an aging gent is to grab it and do a lazy, I'd rather be somewhere else kind of hand job. They're really too smart for that old school trick, right? Next. The next myth. Men over 60 are more likely to suffer from premature ejaculation. Is this true or false? This is a myth and a stereotype. A man who takes care of his prostate, has a strong pelvic floor, may not finish too quickly. Actually, the opposite is more likely to happen. In the younger years, it's premature ejaculation. That comes with age as an issue. Now, after 60, it's actually delayed orgasm or anorgasmia that can be actually stressful for both parties. Now, in some instances, the parties involved, everyone does their job, they're doing the work, everything is going as expected, and then what's missing is the expected explosion at the end. So what happened? It used to be so easy in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, maybe even the 50s. Well, what happens over time, like we said, is there's a decrease in the sensitivity of the penile tissue. Now, this is likely a direct result of reduced testosterone and a result of decreased blood flow over time. Prostate gland is weaker. The ducts of the gland may actually be occluded or blocked. And as a result, some men experience delayed orgasm. Now, this could also be because he's taking some particular type of medication, or maybe there's a psychological thing going on there. But from the partner, what happens is you get this blank look of like, well, hurry up and finish, please. What's going on here? So sure, it may be hormonal. It may be the medications, but it also may be from too much masturbation. Either way, it's stressful for all parties involved. But what I'm going to tell you is a DIY hack for delayed ejaculation. Now, this can help you fix it over time. So lean closer, because I know this is something that's plaguing gentlemen, because I get asked the question all the time. Now, I want to remind you of the anatomy, right? This here is called the frenulum, right? This is the frenulum. What you're going to do is you're going to take one of our external prostate massagers and turn it on, and you are going to put it on the underside of the frenulum. And once it's there, you're going to just leave it here for about 10 minutes a day, a few times a week. Now, you can use this prostate massager. You can use a vibrator that you have at the house. But a study of 36 men actually using this exact same method found that 72% of the men who did this actually had a restoration of orgasm at their 6-month follow-up with their health care provider. So what we know about vibratory stimulation is that vibration can actually reactivate nerves that have gone to sleep and bring back that tactile stimulation that you're missing, right? Now, the next myth says that you get older, and that sex gets old, especially if you've been with the same partner that you've had for years. Well, I'll be clear. This is a myth and a truth, but 40% of people aged 65 to 80 are actually still sexually active, and about 2/3 of the adults in that age group are really still interested in sex. So half of the older adults said sex was even important for their overall quality of life, and about 73% of the older adults were actually still having sex and said that they were satisfied with their sex lives. So here's the thing. Erectile problems are considerably more prevalent among older men, and they are even more prevalent among older men with regular sex partners. Now, that may be true about their erectile issues, but the sex drive is actually higher when men are in relationships, when they actually have someone that they can have sex with. So having a partner works wonders for desire when it comes to gentlemen, and compared with single men, those in relationships had much higher libido. But relationships also had the downsides. There's a greater risk for erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, difficulty ejaculating, and performance anxiety. So let's talk about that a little bit. It is a known fact that as life goes on and as your relationship evolves with any person in a long-term relationship, remember there's two different types of love, right? You got romantic love, which is that new stuff fueled with dopamine, excitement, and passion. And over time, things shift to that more enduring love. Less passion and more of the other P, which is P for practical. And in men with new sex partners at any age, romantic love and the newness of it kind of pushes the sex drive forward. That's that dopamine kicking in and leading the charge. In fact, in men in their 60s, they're more likely to have had sex in the past 6 months if they had a sex partner, and old one or a new one. And of the men surveyed, nearly half of them with partners that actually had sex within the past 6 months, over half of them had, versus about 13% of the guys who didn't have a sex partner. So if you're single, listen, beat this myth and this fact by getting out of the house and meeting people. If you like women, they're everywhere. Start at the grocery store and look for small baskets. That means that she's only shopping for one. Now, if you're in a long-term relationship, bring back the romance with new and fun, exciting activities. That will bring the passion back. So for men who've had a decline in their sex drive in their 60s, really a 2020 study found that decline in the sex drive could be related to feelings of fatigue, pain, stress, body image controls. Now, I will say this. According to the research conducted by the National Council on Aging, nearly 95% of adults 60 and older really do have at least one chronic condition. And 80% of those individuals over the age of 60 had 2 or more chronic conditions. So with that being said, manage that by getting healthy. Consider my function smoothie recipes, yes, as a way to kind of get back on track. Hop into that mirror and remind yourself that you're a sexy beast and anyone would be lucky to have you. Next, fact or myth. It's common when you mention men over 60 for an image like this to pop up. Gray hair, walking slow, playing with the grandkid. Now, is this a proper representation of a man in his 60s? No, this is a myth. This is an actual myth. What if I told you that it's not an accurate depiction at all of a guy in his 60s? Look all over Instagram, all over your social media, and you'll see the term zaddy. A zaddy is an older gentleman who is likely somebody's granddaddy who has pizzazz. This is a zaddy. This is a zaddy. This is a zaddy. They have fun. There's a level of confidence that exists and if they've been savvy, they've settled into their career, they have money to spend, they're engaged in hobbies, they're getting outside, they're traveling, and their interest in sex has definitely not left the building. They've got fewer distractions, more time, privacy, no worries about pregnancy, the red tide, littles running in and out of their room. Zaddies have it going on. So I encourage you to be a zaddy. Yes, to channel that inner sexiness that you know is there and make it exude on the outside. Get sexy and fit, and like this video, share this video, and listen, let me know what you're doing to bring out your inner and outer sexy after the age of 60.